Vegetarians. Trouble is they haven't got any energy.
Can he do it again?
They're a bunch of wimps. Shame, but there you go.
Still Emil's back for more.
You can't build muscles on carrots.
Oh, he's got him off the bridge
And healthy? Who the hell are they trying to kid?
Great Britain with the red balls, it's Emmil!
All over the place, things like brilliant.
What do you reckon, Emil?
About who, Nicky?
About vegetarians.
They're okay.
No, come on. What do you really think?
Give me a second. They're alright. I bet you don't know what a real vegetarian is.
Of course I do. It's someone that doesn't eat meat.
No, someone who doesn't eat meat, fish, chicken, or any kind of slaughterhouse product. You know, gelatine, stuff like that.
Yeah, my point exactly. It can't be good for you.
I'm a veggie.
No.
Yeah. 10 years. 10 years?
Yeah, all right, but you're different. Name me one veggie that's ever done anything sporty.
Okay. Carl Lewis, remember him? 9 Olympic gold medals, the greatest athlete ever.
All right, okay. One more.
Martina Navratilova, the greatest women's tennis player, again, ever.
Oh, all right. One more.
Ed Moses, 1700-metre hurdler. I would say the greatest Olympian. Dave, Ironman Scott. Oh, and of course, Guy.
Guy who?
Guy the gorilla.
Oh, yeah, really funny, an ape.
What's so funny? We're all apes. All of us. You know something? The only difference between his genes and yours, and we ain't talking denims, is 2%. 2%. Anyway, what's this all about? So, what should we be eating?
Meat. It's only natural.
Natural? So why don't you go over there and take a great big chunk out of those carbs?
What? That is disgusting.
Where's your bloodlust? Your teeth wouldn't get past its hide. And where's your claws to grab it with? I'd like you to meet somebody. This is Dr. Chris Fenn, Doctor of Nutrition and Nutritional Advisor for the Everest Expedition, responsible for getting the first ever British woman to the summit, and for expeditions to both the North and the South Pole. Tell me, Chris, do we have to eat meat? Is it natural?
It's natural for cats and dogs and lions and other animals to eat meat, but humans don't need to eat meat. In fact, right through our history, we haven't eaten very much meat at all. And that's because we can get all the nutrients that we need from a vegetarian diet. It's only recently that we've started eating more meat and more dairy products and things like saturated fat. Now that's unnatural, and that's not so good for us.
Yeah, but what about protein? We're told we have to eat meat because of protein.
A lot of people think that, but in fact you can get all the protein you need from eating vegetarian foods. Things like nuts and beans and tofu, they're really good sources of protein. And even things like spaghetti and bread have got some protein in. So provided you eat a range of these foods, you're going to get all the protein you need from a vegetarian diet.
Yeah, but what about all those other things that we miss out on by not eating meat?
Like what?
Well, you know, vitamins.
Vitamins are important, and it's true that meat does contain a lot of B vitamins, but so do lots of other vegetarian foods. Most of the vitamins and minerals we need can only be obtained from fruits and vegetables. We can't live without them. That's how important they are. One thing is certain, vegetarians don't need vitamin pills and supplements. These foods provide complex carbohydrates.
What are complex whatnots?
Complex carbohydrates are what should make up the main part of our diet. It's what gives us energy. But it's not only what's in the vegetarian diet that's important, it's what's not in as well. And that's things like saturated fat and cholesterol.
Saturated animal fat and cholesterol contain no essential nutrients, and both are linked to cancer and heart disease. They do not need to be included in the diet.
So are you telling me it's because of this health business that there's so many vegetarians?
Yes, that and the animals. I'd like you to meet somebody else. This is Juliet Galetli, founder of the vegetarian charity Viva, and author of books amongst The Silent Arc, and the Livewire Guide to Going, Being and Staying Veggie. She also has a degree in zoology.
Do you know nearly 1 in 3 young women don't eat meat, and young men aren't that far behind? In Britain as a whole, there are around 5 million vegetarians, and there are lots of reasons for it. The 2 biggest reasons given by people are 1, to protect their health, and 2, to save animals from cruelty in factory farms and slaughterhouses. Have a look at this. 750 million animals are killed in Britain every year for meat. Most of them are factory farmed. They never breathe fresh air or feel rain, and the sun never shines on them. Intensive farming is based on using the minimum space and feeding animals so they grow quickly and can be slaughtered as young as possible. The sow has a natural urge to build a nest for her young, but that's not allowed. Home for most of them is a barren place of metal bars with no bedding and absolutely nothing to do. These highly intelligent, inquisitive creatures have an urge to explore, but the only thing available to them is each other's bodies. They fight and bully the weaker ones and bite each other's tails so badly that sometimes the piglets have to be destroyed. To try and stop it, their teeth are crushed with pliers, or their tails are cut off, or both, usually without anaesthetic. Eventually, the piglets are moved into concrete fattening pens, and when they're killed after 5 or 6 months, this is where most of our pork, bacon, sausages, pepperoni and ham comes from. Of course, piglets in the wild don't bite each other. They've got so many other things to interest them.
I don't understand it. If so much meat is produced and so many shops sell it and we're constantly being told that it's good for us, what's going on? It must be helping to build muscles or something.
Believe me, you don't need meat to build muscle. That idea went out ages ago. So let's get one thing straight. The 2 biggest killers in the Western world are cancers and heart disease. Heart disease will kill 1/3 of all the males watching this video and 1/4 of all the females. That's the size of the epidemic. Strokes, blocked up arteries and high blood pressure are all much lower in vegetarians. It's got a lot to do with the saturated fat and the cholesterol in meat. And the good news is that heart disease is really quite rare in countries which eat a largely vegetarian diet. And even in Britain, you're 50% less likely to develop heart disease compared with meat eaters. Cancer is the 2nd biggest killer, and 1 in 3 people will get one kind or another during their lives. Again, it's vegetarians who do better, with up to 50% less cancers of all kinds. All meat contains saturated fat, even if it looks lean. Meat not only contains saturated fat, but cholesterol as well, and the body needs neither. They both play a big part in causing heart disease and cancer.
So what do you reckon, Nikki?
Okay, if a vegetarian diet's so healthy, how come we haven't been told about it before?
Well, we have. The World Health Organization and the British Medical Association have been telling us for ages. It's not new.
Vegetarians enjoy excellent health. Vegetarian diets meet recommended dietary allowances for nutrients. Protein is not a limiting factor. United States government.
Vegetarians have lower rates of obesity, coronary heart disease, high blood pressure, large bowel disorders, cancers, and gallstones. Their diet is nutritionally adequate.
Chicken's okay, isn't it? I mean, it's healthy. You're practically a vegetarian if you eat chicken.
So what tree did your chicken fall off of? Juliet?
Chickens that are bred for meat are called broiler chickens. They're kept in huge windowless sheds, as many as 100,000 birds at a time. With selective breeding and high-protein foods, they go from day-old chicks to fully grown birds in 6 weeks. They're killed while they still tweet like chicks and have a chick's blue eyes. Their skeletons don't form properly, and because of this, their bones break easily. sometimes just from the weight of their bodies. On top of this, their legs and feet become deformed. And more bones are broken when the chicken catchers come in and take them off to the slaughterhouse.
I'd rather have turkey anyway.
Life's probably even worse for turkeys. It's hard to believe, but their ancestors still live in the wild in America and can fly at over 90 kilometres an hour. Some modern turkeys can hardly walk, and none can reproduce naturally.
Duck. That's really my favourite.
And it's much the same for ducks. Birds which have evolved to live with water, dive in it and feed from it, never even see water, except in their metal feeding tubes.
Fish. That's what I really like. Not a lot wrong with fish.
Listen to this, man. Alan Durnin, talking to us from the World Watch Institute, one of the most important environmental groups in the world. He's calling from Washington. Listen.
Hello?
According to the United Nations, the oceans of the world are faced with a catastrophe. Of the 17 main fishing areas, 9 are on the point of ecological collapse, and the rest are being fished to their limits. Quite simply, the world's oceans are dying just so people can eat fish, such as tuna. But it isn't just the fish that suffer. Nets such as drift nets can stretch up to 50 kilometers and kill whales, dolphins, sharks, rays, and even diving seabirds. It seems crazy, but much of the fish caught is fed to other fish in fish farms. In fact, all over the world, farmed animals are causing environmental damage. One of the greatest is the destruction of the rainforests.
Don't tell me the cows eat them.
These amazing wildernesses are home to nearly 1/2 of all the world's wild animals and the plants which provide many of our medicines. And unknown peoples still live in their depths. And what do we do with them? We cut them down. For what? Grazing for hamburger cattle. Central and South America are among the worst areas affected. The thin soil provides poor pasture and after just a few years turns to desert. Instead of rain being absorbed by the tree roots, it turns into floodwater and carries away the soil forever. Animals eat so much food that the land is pushed beyond its limits by the widespread use of fertilizers and pesticides. It results in a breakdown of the soil structure and erosion by wind and rain. Despite this, the number of animals keeps on increasing.
Eggs, Emil. What about eggs?
Well, there's eggs, and there's eggs.
I knew it. I knew it.
These are called battery cages. 5 fully grown hens in a space about the size of a microwave oven. Thousands of cages, tens of thousands of birds, all in one shed. Battery hens spend their entire life like this, with just wire to stand on, no nesting material and no privacy. The chicken's wild ancestor, the jungle fowl, only lays about 20 eggs a year, but the battery hen lays over 300. This takes so much calcium from her bones that they become brittle and easily break. According to government research, 1/3 of battery hens have broken bones, and all of them suffer.
So when did they let them out? You know, for their holidays and weekend off.
They don't. So it's hardly surprising that they become stressed and frustrated and often turn to pecking each other. The common answer is to cut their beaks when they're chicks. Research has shown that the beak is a very sensitive organ, so sensitive that some chicks die of shock, some bleed to death, and others are in pain for their whole life. For every female, a male bird is also hatched. They can't lay eggs, and as battery birds have been bred to be scrawny, they're no good for meat, so they're killed, gassed or crushed and used for animal feed. The hens are usually killed before they're 2 years old for use in pies, pasties, soups and so on. The lucky few are bought by animal sanctuaries, and to begin with, they're completely bewildered. One of the first things they do is build a nest. Then they dust bathe and strut around for the first time in their lives.
So you care more about animals than you do about people?
So what are you doing for people?
Well, I don't eat them.
Exactly nothing. At least on a vegetarian diet, we save people.
There are many more farm animals in the world than there are people. That means they use too much land, they use too much water, and they eat too much food. And that's one of the reasons why the world's poor have to go without. Just look at America. The amount of soya and wheat they feed to their cattle alone would feed the entire populations of India and China.
Yeah, but at least we're okay in Britain.
In Britain, 90% of our farmland is used to grow feed for farm animals, and we still need lots more. We have to import huge amounts of food from the third world, countries where children are dying from starvation. 12 million die every year.
Why do they sell us the food if they need it themselves?
Because they're desperate for money, to pay off the debts to rich Western nations like Britain and America, and to buy products like oil. That's why they're growing so much animal feed.
But I don't understand. Why so much animal food?
Because it takes 10 kilograms of vegetable protein to produce 1 kilogram of animal protein.
You just think, if everybody ate a meat-based diet, the kind that a lot of people in America and Britain eat today, you couldn't even feed half of the world's population. Yet if everybody became a vegetarian, you could feed the whole world and more. An area of land the size of 5 football pitches will grow enough meat to feed 2 people, maize to feed 10 people, wheat to feed 24 people, or soya to feed 61 people.
So animals eat most of the world's food, and that's one reason why there are people starving. I love my chili, and my burgers, and my sausages, and my pies, and all of that sort of stuff.
But you can have all of that on a veggie diet. I'd like you to meet somebody. Her name's Rose Elliott, and she's an absolutely wicked cook.
I've written a few books on vegetarian cookery.
Just a few.
And I know that that's something which worries a lot of people. But there are lots of foods which are made to taste exactly like meat. And you just wouldn't tell the difference, but they haven't got anything from an animal in them at all. You see, when some people go vegetarian, they still want to enjoy meaty-style foods. And they can. There's all kinds of food which you can buy from health food shops and supermarkets.
Is that pizza?
That's pizza.
Curry?
Yes.
Oh, great, okay.
All your favourites are here.
Burgers?
Yes. But you can also make your own foods. And then things really get exciting because there are wonderful tastes and flavours, colours and textures, and the sky's the limit. And the great thing is that no animal has to be killed in order to do it.
Can I try?
Have a dip, see what you think. That's chili.
This is my favourite dish.
Oh, good.
What does it taste like?
Oh, it's wicked.
But the food really is delicious. There's no problem at all.
And I can still have my burgers.
So what do you reckon, Nikki?
Well, as Pythagoras once said.
Here's a veggie.
Okay, Einstein.
Here's one too.
Anyone else?
Damon from Blur, Crispin from Cooler Shaker, and Captain Kirk.
Okay. What about Jasper Carrot?